Hi, I'm Jim Knotts, President and CEO of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Fund. Welcome to today's virtual reading of the names. 2022 marks the 40th anniversary of the dedication of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial in Washington, D.C. As part of our commemoration, we'll host an in-person reading of the names at the wall from November 7th through 10th, 2022, when all 58,281 names on the wall will be read aloud. In the lead up to that event, we'll be reading names each day online while sharing the photos of these heroes. For our daily virtual reading, the names of the service members will be read by month and day of death between the years 1956 and 1975 in alphabetical order for the given day. We apologize in advance for any mispronunciations. Know that our readers are doing their best to honor these service members. We hope you'll listen and watch each day and share with others as we remember and honor those who gave their lives during the Vietnam War.
John Charles Alamo, Francis Dominic Alavento, Edwin P. Anderson Jr., Glenn Urban Andreatta, Paul Wayne Anthony, Terry Lynn Anton, David Orrin Bailey, Richard George Bambrick, Irvin Sylvester Banks, James R. Banks, Harold Eugene Barrick, Troy Hillis Batterton, Don Curtis Benfield, John Harold Berg, Myron Waldo Berg, Kenneth G. Blackwell, Kenneth Wayne Bowes, Roger Dale Bragg, Frank Thomas Brochetti, Larry Lee Brown, Melvin Bernard Brown, Glennie Wayne Kane, Richard Torres Calderon, Jerry Allen Campigny, Gary Amos Karstens, Victor John Cartier, Billy K. Carver, Peter Carl J. Christian, Robert Howard Colgrove, Jean Francis Collier, Edwin Douglas Connell, Donald Ray Cooper, Roger Dale Cooper, Clayton Andrew Kraft, Herbert Terrell Cross, Dennis Ray Dethridge, Charles C. Dickerson Jr., Jerry Wayne Dillow, Terrence Glade Dixon, Larry Wayne Douglas, Charles Matthew Dutton, Terry Lee Ellender, Kenneth Julian Ellington, Charles Albert Fraley, Jeffrey Alexander Freeman, Robert Allen Fulkerson, James Gabriel Jr., J. Franklin Geyer, David Parker Gibson, Christian George Gerard, Michael Anthony Guinta, John Glover, Stanford Morris Goff, Raymond Anthony Gray, Ivan Ivory Green, Alan Eberly Groshong, Albert Marshall Geyer, Lawrence Raymond Hagdorn, Mance Kenneth Hargraves, Jimmy Chester Harper, Joseph Richard Harris, Jerry Dean Hatcher, Charles Willis Heaps, David Eugene Hevla,
Ishmael Fernando Hornales, Benny Lee Houston, Arthur Walton Hunt III, Robert Richard Huster, Leonard Frederick Jansen, Alan Peter Jones, Edward Michael Kochman, Lee Lund Morris Kaler, James Noel Katrenix, Johnny Ray King, Orville Lee Knight, Bowden Kowal, Michael Eugene Kraft, David Wayne Lauritsen, Steve Dennis Ledford, Howard Lloyd Leroy Jr., Felix F. Leyva Parafrias, Wayne Ellsworth Marchand, Henry Joseph Markowski Jr., Frank James Mastromateo, Peter Robert McCarthy, James Matthew McDonald, Jerry Lane McKinney, Charles Michael McKinney, Rob George McSorley, Don Leslie Michael, Eddie James Mickens, Keith Norman Miller, Andrew C. Mitchell III, Francisco Andrew Montano, Artanzi Netherly, William P. Nutzling, Leonard Arthur Nietzsche, James Russell O'Banion, Joseph M. Orlowski, Lynn Arthur Osborne, Eugenio Oval Oviedo, Tony Palacios, Nathan Edlow Peacock Jr., Randall Lee Pell, James Warden Peltier, John Harry Perdue, Randall Carl Phelps, John Francis Plunkard, James Arthur Pop, Gerard Paul Porta, Charles Edward Porter, Michael Lloyd Priest, George Allen Pruitt, Roger Leslie Pugh, Gary Monroe Radford, Robert Michael Rasmussen, Dorsey Eugene Register, Roland Armand Richard, James Ellsworth Ricketts Jr., Dennis Lee Rhodes, William S. Robertson III, George Leroy Samuels, Francis Mark Sams, Vicente Diaz Sandoval, Rogelio Saucedo, Paul Lewis Sawyer Jr., Thomas Allen Scarborough, Gary Stephen Schwartz,
Jeffrey Allen Schweikel, Juan Navidad Cedillo, William A. Sharp Jr., Charles Mills Sheldon, Harry Jennings Simmons Jr., Larry Douglas Simpson, Gerald Aubrey Smith, Donald Bruce Smith, Richard John Smith, Harry Ernest Smith, Thomas Clinton Smith Jr., Thomas Lee Sonderman, Lloyd Palmer Stearns, William Owen Steed, Townsner Steele Jr., Patrick Anthony Talty, John Edward Tarrantowitz, Jackie Lee Tate, Vincent Andrew Taylor, McClure Thackerson, Lawrence Gregory Thode, Charles F. Thomas IV, Robert James Thompson, Robert Thompson Jr., Edward Hugh Timmons, James Melvin Truelove, Craig Alden Van Aken, John Francis Van Duyn, Carl Reginald Van, Billy Joe Vickers, Evarista Villano, William Oscar Wagner, John Edward Wallace, Albert William Worthen, Arthur J. Weinper, Michael Allen Welch, Jimmy Roger Westmoreland, Gary Eugene Whipple, Joseph Louis Whitemouse, Alan Francis Wilkins, Stephen David Wilkinson, Levi James Wilson, Leon Wilson, Matt John Wodarski, Michael Joseph Eager.